Marcus Aurelius, he had something. He had something going on for him. Mm-hmm. It's the love of one's fate, amor fati. It doesn't mean that, we reject it completely, because I think understanding our past, and I think that making peace, like I said, making peace with our past gives us more perspective on and more depth and more personal awareness to how we are showing up in our lives, whether it's, we're so afraid to take a risk, or whether it's, I'm afraid to have this confrontation with somebody that I deeply love, trust, and admire. Yeah. Or it's, having a tough conversation, laying the boundaries down with your child. So it all comes from a learned perspective of the stuff that we sometimes don't want to go back to, but it is part of our story. And so I think for me, it's an alchemy. And what I mean by an alchemy is that I've been able to alchemize some of the hardest points of my story to then share it within a book or books. I've written 4 books now, and 2 of them I talk in depth with, the challenges that I went through growing up at 10 years old, with my mom first getting diagnosed with breast cancer. And then a few years later, actually a year after she passes away, when I was 16, so from 10 to 16, going through such a dark time and, in her remission, and then the cancer came back. And then a year after my mom passes away, my brother suddenly dies of an asthma attack. And so, you're already grieving heavily. I'm a teenager at this point, and I have to support my Indian father, who has to take care of myself and my younger brother. And he falls into deep depression. And so, again, you asked about character, and I think that it's those moments that really shaped me to then be able to go to the schools and universities and speak to parents about teaching their kids resilience, because they've been spoon-fed their whole life, and now they get rejected from a girl, or they get their first F and they fail a class and they think their life is over, or they start to harm themselves and have these suicidal ideations. So again, it's like being able to alchemize that story of then, yes, after my brother died, I had another tragedy. My father went through another bout. He had his cancer journey, and he was told he only had 9 months to live. And the doctors were correct, because he died just short of my 19th birthday. So within those 3 years, I went through all of that loss. So entering my 20s, I was like, there is no way. I'm like, I am not going to live under another cloud. But there could have been a different scenario to that. A different scenario to that of, nope, I'm not going to have a first. There's no way I could leave my family. There's no way I could leave and go to Europe. Are you kidding me? What if something bad happens? Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so I think there's that also that, the research by Stanford professor, Dr. Carol Dweck, and I know she's been talked about a lot, but her book on mindset that kind of revolutionized the way we think about adversity and resilience versus, cocooning and going inward. Either you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. And 2 people could have the same story, but the outcomes can be completely different, right? And you could see this in your own kids if you have them. Siblings, I think, are also, if they experience a certain pain point, they might react differently. And so I think that also has some weight to it. I think, there's this theory called post-traumatic growth. And I think definitely for me, it was, all right, we're going to come out of this funk even better and more able than before. And, now even in my book, part 3 of my book, I talk about flying forward. And there's a methodology to that. Anytime you've hit a rock bottom, anytime you've had a challenge, whether it's in business, relationship, personal life, your inner critic, you've had a failed circumstance or a situation or something, or you're stuck in a rut, how can you fly forward so that you can come out of that? You can stand up and rise, and you can say yes to new experiences. I say, and in your many first, I akin and I relate it to being able to suck at something new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But that's why many people apologize even for new beginnings, right? Because they believe, it's probably true, to say we're not so good at it yet if we start something, right? And then we apologize. We say, oh, sorry, I'm new in this, instead of celebrating the courage and the resilience we bring up to start.
It's so true. It's so true. I recently, being here in the UAE, I recently started paddle, and I put on my stories that I started paddle, and I said, I'm going to suck so bad at this thing. But there was, a couple of years ago when my book came out, I did this challenge. Okay, 30 days to suck at something new, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you can have your new first. You can have your first about starting a podcast. Yeah, your first few podcasts are going to suck, right? Your first few attempts at doing, one year I wanted to do stand-up comedy, and I was writing my first few lines and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so awful. And then I realized, I said, of course it's going to be. Like, you're not going to be as good as, Dave Chappelle right away. I don't even think you will be a legendary like that because they've been doing it for 20, 30 years. You're just coming into it. And I think that so often we have so much heavy pressure to be this ideal or to be this perfect, and which is why I have a whole humorous way about being able to just have fun with it. And I was telling my coach, I said, oh, so you're supposed to hit the back wall. I didn't know that, because with paddle, they have these glass, walls around it. And I think he was getting frustrated with me because I still didn't understand. But I said, you know what? It's fine. We're just having fun. There's no serious, I'm not going to try to compete. I'm not trying to be like number one. I just want a good workout and to be able to be outside. And that's about it. So,
yeah. And of course, I congratulate you to the first. And I think the fun, that's such an important part. To just be in. I think it's also something that helps us be present, right? Because so often I think it's in today's world, things are performance driven or so-called success driven. There's something, we do it because there's a goal behind it. And to just have fun means it's basically just that precious moment to just be.
To just be. Yeah, with no agenda, with just... it's just that. That's what it is. No, and you're so right about that. I think oftentimes, there's I'm training for the half marathon to do the half marathon. I'm training for, you're right. It's the performative act of it.
And at the same time, many people feel it's kind of burning us out, right? We feel we're in a race at all times and lack this kind of lightness that would come in if we were a bit more playful. And that's what I believe many firsts does as well, right? If we start creating first, we can take it from a playful angle. Again, depends on how we look at things.
Oh, totally. So true.